Sous-titrage disponible dans les options linguistiques.
New language options available.
The late French historian Jean Favier reportedly said, if you want to sum up the Middle Ages, just go to Provins. Whether on a day trip from Paris or a longer stay in Champagne, this World Heritage Site is a rare example of a well-preserved and functioning medieval town with a lot of hidden secrets. In this episode, we'll delve into the details of its history.
Welcome to Touring Backroads, France. Today we're visiting the town of Provins in the Champagne region outside of Paris. We're biking around and walking around this lovely medieval citadel to take a look at a couple of the interesting places here. The high town is actually very well preserved. It's mostly businesses and based on tourism, and then the lower town has about 12,000 inhabitants, and that town is a little bit more modern and open to car traffic and other forms of commerce. Now, the reason I chose this town today is because it's a great day trip from the city, and you can come here just for a short amount of time. During medieval ages, people would come here to buy different products, things that were imported from all over Europe and even further beyond. And this was an important stronghold for the king. The tower you see behind me here, the Tour César, was used as a royal stronghold and also a prison over the centuries. This part of France joined the French monarchy under the reign of Philip the Fair, who was king of France at the end of the 13th and the beginning of the 14th centuries. Now, this was also the king of France during the time that the Templars disappeared. Clearly, this was an important strategic crossroads for the French monarchy as well as a lot of the merchants. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Come with me today as we visit Provins.
For today's trivia question, where does the term sound money originate? And if you know that answer, how does it relate to the town of Provins? Lend an ear during this episode and you may just find the answer. If not, I'll tell you at the conclusion. Provins is about an hour and a half by train from Paris. Like most names in French, the S is silent. In the French language, this can be a tricky letter to understand for pronunciation. Some names, like Calvados in Normandy, are exceptions. Provins became a World Heritage Site in 2001, having escaped the architectural ravages of the Industrial Era, the Franco-Prussian War, and both World Wars. Divided into two distinct parts, the Citadel portion, or Upper Town, still retains most of its medieval structures. A popular tourist destination today, the tourism office sits prominently at the western edge of the town, about 200 yards from the Porte Saint-Jean and the entrance into the Upper Citadel. Many festivals and events take place in Provins, such as the Medieval Fair taking place this year on June 14th and 15th, where volunteers and visitors dress up in medieval costumes. You also get a discount if you wear a costume. It's very similar to the tradition of Renaissance festivals in the United States. The tourism office offers several different guided tours, or you can explore the town on your own. One of the first places you'll see coming into town is the Tour César, or the Caesar Tower. Built on the edge of a rocky outcropping, the tower protects the former palace of the counts and dominates the valley. It's the symbol of Provins, constructed in the 12th century by the Counts of Champagne. An outstanding illustration of medieval military architecture, it's one of the remaining defensive keeps from the time when such structures were emblematic of power. While the name Caesar Tower harks back to ancient Rome, it didn't get this name until the 17th century. No historical records show Julius Caesar ever was here, and it had been called the Big Tower, or the Tower of the Count, in previous centuries. To visit the bell tower, you need to buy a separate ticket, climb a ton of stairs, and go through some pretty narrow passageways. However, the view from the top is well worth it. Be aware that the bell tower is still active if you happen to be standing next to one of the two remaining bells. It originally held up to 6, some of which were removed and melted down after the French Revolution. The one remaining original was cast in 1515 and weighs 3 metric tons, or 3,000 kilograms, about 6,400 pounds.
Je
fais juste un petit plan. Hop, merci.
The tower has changed size and shape many times over the centuries, becoming a historic monument in 1846 and being restored extensively throughout the 20th century. Exploring the rooms and passageways, you can only imagine what life must have been like here during the Middle Ages. It's almost like you can still feel it in the walls as the legacy of that time lives on. Underneath the medieval buildings, there's another town to discover, miles of underground passageways cut through the limestone, some of which predate the Middle Ages. You can visit these only on a guided tour. I've already bought a ticket for that, so it will be the subject of a future episode. Above ground, there is still a lot to discover. Provins was at the intersection of two Gallo-Roman roads, making it an important stop for trade and tourism, even during the early Middle Ages. The town had several ideal factors to help it develop. First, it was a defensive fortress on top of a hill.
C'est la chemise. La chemise, elle est là déjà à l'origine, hein, la chemise.
Oui, c'est pour protéger la tour, en
Ah
fait.
ben, bien entendu. Oui, oui.
La Tour César, with its lookout tower and 4 pepper shaker towers, provided the guards with a view of comings and goings. Second, it had a natural refrigerator. The underground passageways in the limestone remain a constant 54 degrees Fahrenheit, or 12 degrees Celsius, allowing for storage of perishable goods. Finally, it had plenty of traffic to make it prosper. People traveling along the roads brought money and created demand for goods. This gave rise to the fairs of Champagne, which took place twice a year in spring and autumn. As people, products, services, and money flowed into the town, its population grew to nearly 80,000 inhabitants during the 12th and 13th centuries, practically equaling nearby Paris. The need for a unique currency and the independence of the Counts of Champagne brought in a new form of money. Le denier provinois, a silver coin which can be translated as the Provins denarius. Inspired from the Roman coin of the same name, this small silver piece became a currency of reference as far south as Italy. The nearby town of Troyes, about 40 miles to the southeast on the road to Italy, became the reference still used today for precious metals, the troy ounce. The money changers quickly established a stronghold in Provins, swapping out different forms of local currencies for the Provins denarius. Their methods of testing metals relied not only on its weight, but the sound that it made when dropped onto a hard surface. This is where the French phrase sonnant et trébuchant originated, meaning something of real value. The Saint-Kyrias Collegiate Church is an incomplete structure which sits at the foot of the hill, just down from the Tour César. Having been visited by Charles VII and Joan of Arc at the end of the 100 Years' War, it never received the funds necessary to be built into the larger cathedral that it was intended to become, as Provins was surpassed by neighboring towns and cities over the centuries. The main square, known as the Place du Châtel, was the location of a castle fortress long ago. A number of columned houses, many still used as shops or eateries today, can be visited around it. Nearby, in one of the side streets, we can come across La Grange aux Dîmes, or the Tithe Barn. It served as a storehouse for goods and a market throughout the Middle Ages. The name of this particular building comes from the tax of 10% on harvests that was paid to the church and stored here. Tithing is still known today as giving 10%, and the French name dîme is at the origin of the American word dime, used for the 10-cent piece, which also used to be a silver coin. This is why it is smaller than the 5-cent American nickel. At the time of the Crusades, Thibaut I of Navarre brought back roses from Damas in current-day Syria, thinking they would make a fine addition to the Provins economy. Gaining inspiration from products he saw being made from roses there, he began the tradition of rose cultivation, which continues to this day. Many products in Provins were then made from them, including rose syrup, jam, and medicinal recipes. The town is very walkable, despite some steep uphill climbs. In the lower part of town, which was the wetlands until the Middle Ages, the cultivation of roses and settlement over the centuries allowed the inhabitants to expand the community downhill. During the warmer months, visitors to the town can still see daily demonstrations of horse riding, chivalry, and falconry. It's the only town in France to be entirely dedicated as a World Heritage Site, of which there are only 50 in the entire country. That means every building, every parcel of land, everything inside the city walls is considered a historical monument. The Garnier Garden, open daily year-round, is a public park with some nice green spaces to relax. It's a favorite for locals as well as visitors. It's located on the north side of the lower town, along the former ramparts and one of the waterways used in the Middle Ages. There is a lot more to explore here, including the gastronomy, that's a fancy word for food, underground tunnels, and the oldest hotel in France. But for now, we'll have to leave these for a future episode. As a side note, season passes for all the museums and monuments in town are less than 20 euros per person. If you want to come here by train, you can get here from Paris Gare de l'Est. The trip takes about an hour and a half, with 6 stops along the line. Provins is currently the end of track and terminal station. As for parking, it's pretty easy to find free spaces around town. Next to the tourist office, you may be asked to pay for parking. I chose to park 200 feet further away at no cost. Just an FYI. The answer to today's trivia question, if you listen carefully, is the sound that coins made when they were dropped on hard surfaces to check their purity. Gold, silver, and copper make distinctive sounds that the money changers knew well. Along with the weight of the coins, they used the sound test to verify coinage as they swapped out different currencies in Provins. This became the expression sound money that we know today, as well as the French expression sonnant attribution, used to describe something of value. In upcoming episodes, we'll continue to explore railroad history, look at some other day trips from Paris, explore a privately owned Templar commandery, and much more. Make sure to check out some of my other work on places in and around Charente, and as always, if you enjoy the content on this channel, please like and subscribe.
Non, c'est moi, je vous attends. Non, passez derrière, il n'y a pas de souci. Ah bah, vous serez dans le champ, hein. Ah bah, allez-y.